Welcome back to Heritage of Our Fathers. Today we will be talking about the restoration of the Benin Monarchy in the year 1914. The Red Earth of Benin still bore scars from the punitive expedition of 1897. The once proud walls of the Great Palace lay in ruins, charred timbers pointing skyward like skeletal fingers. For nearly 2 decades, the sound of royal drums had been silenced, their echoes replaced by the tramp of colonial boots. But within the hearts of the Edo people, the spirit of their kings had never died. The name of Ovonramwen Nogbaisi, their exiled Oba, lived on in whispered prayers and mournful songs. Now in the year 1914, a wind of restoration was rising. From the narrow courtyards to the sprawling markets, voices carried news. The son of Ovonramwen, Prince Igwo Basimwin, was to ascend the throne as Oba Eweka II. At first, disbelief rippled through the city. The people remembered too vividly the flames, the looting, the humiliation of their sacred monarchy. Yet, as days passed, the news became undeniable. The British, rulers of the land, had permitted a coronation. It would not be the same as in centuries past. The Oba's power would be trimmed, supervised, caged within colonial structures, but still, the kingdom would have a king. At dawn, the city of Benin stirred with uncommon energy. Women wrapped their finest white wrappers tight around their waists and chests, coral beads glowing on their necks like drops of fire. Men tied red or white cloth about their loins, their skin shining with palm oil, their hair cut close. Elders rubbed chalk across their foreheads, symbol of purity and ancestral blessing. From every street, they moved in rivers toward the palace ground, where the new Oba would be crowned. The air smelled of incense, camwood, and roasted yam from vendors who lined the streets. Prince Igwo Basimwin stepped into the open, clothed in layers of white. He moved with quiet dignity, though in his eyes burned both grief and resolve. He was the son of the king who had been carried away into exile, who had died in a foreign land stripped of his throne. Now the burden of restoration lay upon his shoulders. His bare chest gleamed beneath strands of coral beads, and around his waist flowed a wrapper of white cloth that brushed the red soil as he walked. Every step was heavy with meaning. The procession wound its way toward the sacred grounds of Usama, where, for centuries, the coronation rites had been performed. The Uzama chiefs, keepers of tradition, awaited him there, their heads crowned with coral, their staffs of office gleaming in the morning light. Their faces carried the wisdom of generations, but also the sorrow of the years without a king. The drums began, deep, thunderous like the heartbeat of the land itself. The Ekpo masks danced in a frenzy, spirits of the ancestors returning to witness the rebirth of kingship. Women ululated, their voices piercing and joyous. The smell of burning incense rose in waves, mingling with the rhythm of drums and chants of priests. The chiefs led the prince to the stool of authority. A carved ivory tusk stood nearby, symbol of royal power. They placed the ancient coral crown upon his head, the same crown worn by Obas of centuries past. As it settled upon him, the crowd roared. The monarchy was reborn. Yet, even in that sacred moment, the shadow of colonial supervision hovered. British officers stood at a distance, their khaki uniforms stiff, their expressions unreadable. They allowed the ceremony, but in their records, the Oba would be little more than a native chief. Still, the Edo people saw differently. To them, this was not a puppet installation, but a resurrection. The Oba was the bridge to their ancestors, the custodian of their land, the symbol of their survival. Oba Eweka II rose, lifting his staff high. His voice carried across the crowd, firm and resonant. I stand not only for myself, but for my father who died in exile, for the kingdom that refused to die, and for the spirit of our ancestors who watch us even now. Benin shall live again. A hush fell. Then a chant surged from thousands of voices. Long live the Oba! Long live the king! The words rolled like thunder, echoing across the broken palace walls, across the sacred groves, across the very heart of the land. From that day, the palace drums beat again. They did not beat with the full freedom of the past. The British still held the reins of political power, but they beat with the rhythm of continuity. Rituals returned, festivals resumed, and the Oba once again presided over the spiritual life of his people. In the secret shrines, sacrifices were made to ancestors, and in the open squares, dances of joy filled the nights. Oba Eweka Kusaku dedicated himself to rebuilding what had been lost. He restored ceremonies burned away. In 1897, he encouraged artisans to carve ivory, bronze and wood once more, reviving the glory of Benin craftsmanship. Slowly, the palace grounds began to flourish, though the great walls, destroyed by the British, never returned to their full majesty. The people of Benin learned to live between two worlds, answering to the British for laws and taxes, but looking to the Oba for identity, guidance, and cultural survival. The colonial officers might rule the land, but in the hearts of the Edo, only the Oba could rule their souls. As the years passed, songs were composed in honor of Eweka II. They praised him as the king who restored the monarchy.
Our city is truly blessed to have a new king.
Yes, Oba Eweka will bring us great fortune and
peace. His reign became a symbol of resilience. And so in 1914, amid ruins and foreign shadows, Benin found its heartbeat again. The monarchy, scarred but unbroken, rose once more, carrying forward the memory of Ovonramwen and preparing the ground for generations of Obas yet to come. The drums beat on. The people danced. The kingdom endured. With this, we have come to the end of today's history. Thank you for watching. God bless. Peace.
Fresh yam, get your fresh yam here.